Living legends are reaching me, sharing knowledge with you and me, teaching us how to lead with Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee. On the run. Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee. On the run. Yeah. Keep on building that synergy. One block at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. One block at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. One block at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. One block at a time, you and me.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Sharon Lee Briefing Podcast Show. I hope y'all enjoy that theme music. I just love it. It just makes me feel so good. But welcome to the sixth episode of the actual Sharon Lee Briefing Podcast Show. And we have our number 5 guest, which is my power number, Power of 5 guest. And I can't wait to introduce her and have her just share her journey and her legacy with you. But I want to do a few little house rules before we get started. If you all could do me a favor. Now, I know I sent out an email. I know we talked about it in different meetings. Now, if you all are not able to hear me, put in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. If you know of any of your friends who's looking to join, they have to be here today. I'm telling you, we're going to have an awesome show. Tell them they can follow me on my YouTube channel. It's called Leading Within with Sharon Lee. Have them subscribe, and then it'll show up on that channel. They can also send me a Facebook request at Sharon Parker, and then they can ask to join our group, which is our, tribe called the Sharon Lee Podcasting Show. Now, in addition to that, guys, if you want your Facebook family and friends to watch, just share the links out to them on Facebook. Go to the Sharon Lee Briefing podcast and just share that link. And then they'll be able to not only watch, they'll be able to make comments, they'll be able to ask questions and all of that wonderful stuff. So those are a few little house rules. Please engage, guys. Please ask questions. Please leave, positive comments. Keep in mind, our show is about laughing, it's about learning, and it's about leading, guys. Laughing, learning, and leading. Welcome, Sir Charles. Thank you for joining. It's about, sharing your on-the-run story. And for those who have attended my previous podcast, just know that you always know we're talking about not running from anything. We're running to opportunity. So are you all excited to get this started? I am. So at this time, I would like to bring up our guest, but I want her to just give a little snippet about who she is. And then we're going to dive right into her journey, her legacy, and share it with all of you all. And again, thank you for joining. Thank you for our engineer, Only Media Production, for just always keeping us looking good on screen and showing up behind the scenes and doing what we need to do. Thank you, all of those who have shared this out already or who will share it out, and those who will even listen to it later. Thank you to my AV connection, which is Sharon Parker. And thank you, most importantly, to all of you all who just taken time out of lunch to engage and learn about those who I've called friends, because I've connected with these individuals for over 15 years, and I really want to share them with you. So with that being said, let's bring in our guests. Hi, Dr. Kanae.
Hey, Sharon.
How are you, sweetheart?
I am well. Thank you. Happy to be here. I am.
Well, you looking beautiful as always. Just know that your coworkers are watching you. I don't want to put too much pressure on you.
Oh, wow.
Look, your coworkers are watching you. My tribe, your friends are watching you, and I just want you to bring it home. So can you give everyone just a little snippet about who Dr. Kanae is?
I'd be happy to. Again, my name is Kene, Dr. Kene Black. I work for, as Sharon mentioned, my coworkers, Housing and Urban Development. There, I serve as both administrative officer, director, and currently acting associate desk for operations. So that's my daytime stuff. Aside from that, I am a mom to a 4-year-old boy. I am a wife. I am a child of God. Most importantly, I look for ways to serve Him more and more each day, and I'm being more obedient as I develop. Some of my passions are focusing on the development, both personally and professionally, of others, and just helping others get well. And so that is my claim to fame. That's a little about me.
That is awesome. So, Kane, tell me about it. I want to know. I get the professional side, I get the community side, but I want to get to know Kane. You started HUD in 2008. And
Hmm.
you started HUD during the time when Barack Obama became the president of the United States, right?
I
And it's
did.
also you started HUD. I like to share with people that synergy is really important. You never know how to connect those dots or build that synergy until you find something you have in common with someone. So,
Yes.
for those who don't know, I started my organization called Rosa in 2008. Saw Kane in the hall one time and just fell in love with her whole spirit because she is just a pleasant person, a big smile all the time. So, Kane, tell me what comes behind that smile of yours. Tell me about that character of yours, that little girl of yours that just want to make other people smile.
Wow, thank you, Sharon. It's not often that I get to talk about this side, so I am grateful for the opportunity. And as you know, you've been such a blessing to me in my life since we met. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
So Kane, my story started before, as Sharon mentioned, I started with Housing and Urban Development in 2008. I moved to DC in 2008 from Wilmington, Delaware. Shout out to Wilmington if you out there. I grew up in Wilmington. I grew up in Wilmington Housing Authority, affectionately known as the Projects, more affectionately known as 26. That is the neighborhood in which I am from. Ironically, again, it is a subsidiary of Housing and Urban Development. So,
Wow.
HUB was a dream job, actually, to come in and work for the programs in which helped me thrive. Again, project growing up as a little girl, my mom has 3 children. I am the oldest. I also have a cousin sister that my mom raised. We started out in a 2-bedroom project, graduated to a 3-bedroom project. Always had a sense of community, always felt love. My mom was a single parent, never lacked love, but there were several traumatic things going on in the projects, as you can imagine, losing friends early to gun violence, seeing people abuse drugs and hearing about friends that may have encountered sexual abuse, and for us being able to go in every house on the block and live, stay the night and get food, to don't go in any house on the block with the door open because there's a rapist out. Those kinds of things that changed over the years, but never felt a lack of love. Always was supported in terms of my endeavors. I ended up going to some highly diverse schools, where so it was kind of split. So half of the projects went to like the real black schools, and then the other half went to like integrated schools. And I was blessed to go to integrated schools in a very good school district, and of course ended up having a diverse set of friends, and which kind of got me into different programs and the student councils, you name it. I mean, I would be this way in school and student council, different affinity groups, all those things, to coming home and playing in the hood on the green box, waiting for park lunch. So I think having that diversity in my childhood kind of really helped mold the trajectory for me, because some of those that I grew up with, our trajectory was different. I had friends also traumatized by friends in middle school pregnant, like, oh, what, we kids, right? Here I am running track though. So I'll say that those things and that early upbringing, and I love to elaborate with whatever questions you have on that, but those things kind of help develop a free spirit in me, a willingness to kind of want more, but also it gave me a huge sense of empathy and discernment. Like my
Yeah.
mom was in the neighborhood. Uh, we had all the groceries. We were in the projects, but we never was hungry, right? We were in the
Hold that thought, Janae. Hold that thought because we're gonna give them some more juice, okay? But I got a gift for you because we're gonna talk about your mom. We're gonna talk about your childhood. We're gonna talk about your profession. We're gonna talk about it all
okay.
because I have some awesome questions for. I'm sure the audience are just going to want to hear. But I want to thank a few people for stopping by. Lisa Dev Washington, thank you. Good afternoon to you too, sweetheart. Lisa saying inspiring story.
Thank
Lisa
you.
is like the guru, out there for synergy building as well. She's been working with me for years. She's definitely one to get to know. But before we go further, I have a gift for you. Are you ready?
I am. I love
Awesome.
this.
So I will have our engineer share the gift. I always like to do this for all of our guests. And keep in mind, guys, ask questions, put it in the chat, especially our 2022, summer youth employee programs, students or employees. Put your questions and your comments in chat. But Chris, take it away. So
Oh,
So I share with people every episode we do, if they could only be behind the scenes and
mm.
see the smiles that comes on the faces of our speakers, our podcast speakers, would really blow their mind. Um, Kane, what did you feel looking at that presentation? How did you feel?
I felt like, who is that? Who is that? Like, oh my God. Like, I just felt like it's all God because it just, yeah, we don't ever get a chance to sit and look at ourselves and we just work. We just serve. We just serve.
Yeah,
So thank you.
yeah,
Thank you for that.
you're very welcome. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa said it was really nice just to, kind of see the journey. It's one thing to talk about what you do. I know a lot of us professionals are so busy. We're multitasking on so many levels. And some like to read, some like to see pictures. Thank you, Miss Gannett. Some people just love, love, love just to, be about seeing pictures because pictures speaks 1,000 words. It really does.
Mm.
It really goes into the essence of what a person is saying. And I like to bring that out in people. I like to really bring out. I don't, I invite people that I know that I connected with. It
Mhm.
may not, we may not have done business together. We may not have been in an event together, but if our spirit connects in some way, I want to recognize that person. I want to say, no, I see the goodness in what this person is
Mhm.
doing and how this person shows up. So, Kane, let's go a little back, okay? Coming out of, Wilmington, Delaware, living in the projects. What made you want to go to college? And what did you obtain when you went to college?
So, good question, Sharon. As I mentioned, I had the opportunity to go to some diverse schools, and they were kind of highly ranked in the county, in Newcastle County in Delaware. And because of that, I was into athletics. I ran track. I played basketball. Um, and as the years went on, I excelled pretty academically without trying.
Mm,
So I wasn't given 100, but I was still doing well. So
yeah.
just imagine in hindsight, if I was giving it 100, whoo, I wouldn't have had student loan debt right now. But nonetheless, um, nonetheless, I did well in school and was offered opportunities to be like in. I was in this one organization called FAME, and it was an acronym
Mm,
for Forum to Advance Minorities in Education, and it
okay.
was all about prepping you while you were in school to ultimately go to college, and they would pay. Of course, I ended up getting too grown and enjoying the projects in life in general that I at some point dropped out of that program, but obviously not
Mhm.
school. However, like I said, I was in a lot of different groups in schools, had some good teachers who kind of saw things in me and would push me and things like that. And so it was what everybody in my circle, which was a pretty diverse group, was doing. It was like, I'm going to college too. Like, I always had my mom, my dad even encouraged me in terms of staying involved with things. You can get a scholarship, you can go to college,
Mm,
all those things. Want more for yourself. Don't have kids early, my mom thing. Um, and so it was just all around me. And so my counselor, I remember like, when are you getting your application in? And one of my cons is procrastination. So it was probably closer to what I would say was the last minute that I'm like, I'm going. So I ended up
okay.
going to undergrad at Delaware State University. Shout out to the Hornets, the
Awesome.
HBCU. I went there, had a great time. When I went, my first objective was to become a criminal justice attorney,
Mm,
but specifically juvenile justice, because myself, my friends, we got railroaded as kids with juvenile justice and just having like representation. I wanted to be a public defender, actually.
wow.
Um, and just having experienced things that I've experienced and my friends, I'm like, I want to be an advocate, right, for us. Like, I want to give those who rely on public defenders a great opportunity. So I went to undergrad with that in mind. I studied criminal justice there, sociology. I finished there and took a year to kind of just decide. Well, it was intended to work on the LSAT to practice for the test needed to get into law school. But
Okay.
instead, I ended up doing an AmeriCorps program, a volunteer program for a year through AmeriCorps. And it was there. And I was like, well, I think I really want to be a public servant another way.
Mm,
So I started thinking that maybe not law school anymore. And I went and got my master's at Widener University in public administration,
okay.
concentrating on nonprofit leadership, et cetera. And then eventually, once I got in the federal sector, I met someone there. Just really quick though. So in Delaware, the federal government, Washington, D.C. itself, all we see from there, because although it's only 2 hours away, it's totally different. It's like the president and Congress. And so there was nothing in my mind as like I could actually be in the federal government. Let me just give that context.
Wow.
It wasn't talked about in our schools like it is here. I come here, everybody's kids is in programs to be in the government. That wasn't the case in Delaware. So it wasn't even
Wow.
something I knew that I could accomplish. I was looking forward to like local government in Delaware. But long short, I met someone who worked for the IRS when I was in grad school, and she encouraged me to apply, and here I am. And once I got here, I decided to pursue my doctorate in management and organizational leadership. So
Guys, I tell you, She has said a mouthful, but when you talk about a servant leader at heart, that's what it looks like. You got to put that time, that energy, that education, that effort. And you started young,
Mhm.
trying to figure it out. And you were learning every step of the way where you want to land, wind up at. So
Yeah.
you told me that, HUD was your dream job. Why is
Mhm.
HUD your dream job?
So when I did finally figure out, oh, this is actually attainable. This black lady I know works there. Okay, I may can get in, and she gave me USA jobs. I'm like, oh wow, that's a whole world of this stuff is overwhelming. I only searched HUD. I only searched HUD, and
Mm.
because as I got older, we ended up long sure we had ended up at some point getting evicted from the projects, etc. And so I knew that HUD oversaw housing authorities. And once I got
Mm.
some sense in high school, it's like, wow. And I start looking into government entities. It's like, oh, housing and urban development. That's who gives the vouchers away, right? That's who gives
That's
the
right.
housing authority the vouchers. And I connected it all to like, wow, if I could end up there after having started there on the other side of this. And so I only searched that agency, and with prayer and supplication, I got it offered.
Wow. So you had shared at the top of the podcast that you are a director. Can you share that position again that you hold?
Sure. So I am a human resource branch chief and director of human resources services in CPD. That extends over training and development, now procurement, also hiring, anything related to hiring, performance management, pay, all of those things fall under my leadership. I got a phenomenal team there. I am nothing without. Um, I've had the opportunity, having served in that role because of some previous experiences that I've had in other parts of HUD, to actually serve as the Associate Deputy Assistant Secretary for Operations. And so there
Wow.
under my purview is budget for CPD over $10 billion dollars in budget funds right now. Of course, a lot of that related to COVID relief, et cetera, but nonetheless, enormous amount of responsibility, procurement, there's the
Yeah.
management division, employee labor relations, systems development, everything with our IT, our technical assistance division, our policy shop, our risk analysis and audit functions. So all of those I have had the pleasant opportunity to lead.
So I tell you what, if I had a corporate organization, I hire you right now, young lady.
Thank
I
you.
would
I might need that.
get you out of the government and hire you as a corporate, employee. And most importantly, get that daggone student loan debt paid because you
Please.
deserve it. You deserve it, guys. And I want y'all to, those who are out there who got some real powerhouse, behind you and hearing Kanae's story, Dr. Kanae's story, this is really priceless, guys. I can't stress enough how priceless her story is. Not just because of her, finding her way out of the projects and her family finding their way out of the projects, but what makes your story so profound is even though you were there, it wasn't a negative thing. You
Yep.
never wanted for anything. You weren't hungry. You had the love. And there's a lot of people right now, and that needs assistance because housing is really really expensive these days. So a lot of people are kind of feeling like they're confident. They feeling like they lack confidence because they're in the housing projects. But I'm just saying, y'all better follow Dr. Kanae, her story and her
Thank
path.
you.
But her journey is really intentional. Okay, she worked hard, guys. Even though she said it wasn't really, she basically has that intelligent brain. She was born with it. Me and my daughter, Tanique, laughed about it because she's a cancer, and she said, "Mom, things come to me easy," and I'm like, "I don't understand how it comes to you because I got to really think about mine." She's like, "It just happens." So you're just in that same circle where God has just blessed you to just that things just comes to you innately, but you still had to work academically to get what you needed in order for you to get to the level where you are today. And you did it in a very short time. You are a young lady, okay, ruling up in so I'm excited. So guys, remember I told you about the podcast, right? It's about laughing, it's about learning, and it's about leading. And you can tell Dr. Kanae is doing all three of those. Now, I want to laugh a little bit. Okay, I want you to tell me about the fun side of you. I know you told me
Mhm.
you like traveling. What else do you like to do? And what's your target audience out there? Because we haven't even tapped into the professional development side of what you like to do for people, which that's going to be next after our commercial. But just tell me about the fun side of you. What do you like to do?
Laughing, cracking jokes. I love doing that.
Perfect guess, right, guys? Perfect guess.
Yeah, so I definitely love doing that. Just
you like fun. Comedy shows, you like, putting on events, you like where come on, give me some juice.
I love coordinating events. I do that on the side. I love coordinating travel. I love being comical personally. I love hyping people up. Professionally fun, your outfit, your aspirations, whatever. I love house parties where we cook dishes and make special cocktails. I love champagne. I love doing fun things. I mean, it's so bad that we crack jokes on our prayer line every morning. So I love convening for the Lord, just as much as I love convening to have my champagne. I love balance. I love not taking life so seriously. I love doing fun things with my son and literally getting on my knees and letting him climb on my back, although he's heavy and it makes me very tired, but I love those things. I love showing up and just trying new things. Like I love yoga now. I love exercising. I love helping us fill our cups up. So whatever you enjoy, I'm going to enjoy it for you and with you, especially if it's your birthday. I love birthdays.
I love it. I love it. That's what I'm talking about, everybody. Talk about that fun. Just enjoy life. Because that's what you were put on this earth to do. Not only work and, make things better for others and your family, but you have a place in this world too. And it's up to you to be happy. So thank you, Dr. Kane, for sharing that. We're going to take a commercial break. It's going to be a few minutes, guys. So if y'all, don't go anywhere. We're just going to show a video promo. But I want to recognize our 2022, what I call the Rise While Lead summer employees. They have been working really hard at Rosa, just learning how to do exactly what Dr. Kane has done. Find her voice, be able to, follow her dream, follow her path, tapping into whatever creative side, fun side she has so that she can, add value in society. So we're teaching our young kids, and they're 18 to 20 years old, so they're not children, they're adults, but we're still teaching them and they need the skill set. So with that being said, they created a little promo video for an event that we're going to have on August the 4th from 11 to 1, their closeout program. And I want to, kind of get you all to get your feedback on that. So Chris, take it away. guys, I hope you all enjoy that. They put a lot of work and energy because they really want the community to know how much they've learned here, under the Rise While Lead program. And for those who don't know, Rise is Rosa Youth Empowerment Series. And one of the main mission is to connect our next generation with people like Dr. Kane and all of the other guests who's been on our platform, because that's really what it's all about. Synergy is about making connections and making a pathway for our young people to be able to, build up their confidence, feel, relatable, where they can not only learn about their history. Kane, you're making history, okay? You're making history. And this generation is learning about you real time, something that we always talk about. We need to teach our disadvantaged youth more about, people who, African American history and culture in America and abroad, but also others who work with us. But when they can see someone that they can actually hear their story, they can actually relate to someone coming from the projects, becoming successful. I can't tell you how priceless that is. And I can't stop repeating it because I know the next generation get it. And I know they've been looking for something like that. So that production they put in was something that I really want to share with you all. So great job, Paris Harris. Great job, Selena. You all knocked it out of the park. I can't wait to, again, show it at our event. Guys, if you all, are available on August the 4th, come on out. Just come on out. It's going to be virtual, and we'll send you the link. But RSVP, because, again, it's always about the next generation. So with that being said, this is a perfect, segment into another aspect of Dr. Kane. We talked about her, coming up as a child. We talked about her family. We talked about her going to college. We talked about her dream job. Now we're going to talk about the community. Dr. Kane, you have a non-profit organization. Tell us about that, and then also work it into your consulting business, where you help professionals, and hopefully non-professionals and professionals develop their individual development plan. So let's give me some insight on both of those, please.
I'd be happy to. And again, kudos to the fellows in the program. Please definitely get the link to me.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you how it started in terms of the nonprofit years ago. So HUD got me to DC. Prior to DC, my background was all nonprofits. As I mentioned, like, I was soul searching and like, okay, I really want to be a public servant. I'll never be rich, and that's okay now, but I'm going to serve the public and I'll be rich in spirit, right? And so having had the experiences that I had, having had a mother that was super empathetic, allowed me to, there were several times that I'm like, listen, Mom, can they move with us because they're being mistreated or they're hungry? And she like, they can stay for a while till we figure it out. But she was like, our home had a lot of people. My mom would allow a lot of people stay with us. We'd feed a lot of people. That increased my empathy and compassion. So that when I finally became a young adult, I focused on the population, at-risk youth, very specifically. I led a program there where I oversaw at-risk youth who had entered the criminal justice system, but kind of was in that if-then situation. Like, I could go either way, but I need some support. So I led a program that, in conjunction with like juvenile justice system in Delaware. Outside of that, I worked with those it was called Delaware Guidance Services, and it was for those kind of at risk or dealing with mental health things. And that was specifically young women. And I did therapy wraparound services with them. So my heart has always been, when you started talking about the next generation, like, yes, like, we need tools then, and then we don't need the same ones or as many once we're adults, right? So the worksheet is started as soon as we can in terms of recognizing ourselves for ourselves. And I living in victimhood, right, because of our circumstances. So once I came to DC, I had to kind of let that go a little bit, just to kind of focus on and get my bearings together with my job. In 2014, well, prior to 2014, my partner and I, Takia Worthy, we both had a passion. She came from Chicago. We both had a passion to still give back to that if-then population. And it's, I got some issues or I have some trauma I dealt with, but if only I had a certain level of support, or an entity or entities that believed in me, then I could potentially be successful. So we would started volunteering, having these pop-up shops at women homeless shelters, the women transitional homeless shelters, where you have your children live with you too. We started mentoring. We started raising funds just to kind of do like hotel spa parties for young folks, or let's kind of dress her up for her formal. Or so we started just doing this on the side with our free
Okay.
time when we had more energy and no kids, but we did it because it's like we work here and that's cool, but we still needed that, right? And so we ultimately ended up formulating it after some entities, like if you formalize it, you may can get more support from us because we need the credit to say we helped the nonprofit, that kind of thing. So we ended up formalizing it, and we established Reach Back, Spring Forward, with the
Mm,
number one mission, meaning reach back to spring
that's right.
someone forward, right?
That's right.
And there, the initial focus was on the if then population, and again, the mothers who may need that if then, who had children. And those same services we were able to offer more broadly and with some support. Of course, COVID kind of put a damper in that in terms of our
Yeah.
interaction, but nonetheless, we're not dead. um, Moving forward from that is over the past few years, what it has allowed me to do is take a hard look at myself,
Mm,
those in my life, very introspectively self, and then those in my life and other women and other younger ladies, and coupling that with my having started, to your point, Sharon, consulting and providing consultative services for any individual who wants to
yes.
develop personally, professionally, or specifically in the leadership realm. And so, and I say any individuals because most of the time, and what I found more recently is we got to work on these things so that when we do get these roles, these businesses, these careers, these opportunities, that
That's
we
right.
well enough to give our best and be our best. And so I have been providing those services both individually as well as a group, within HUD, outside of HUD, speaking kind of across the country, speaking also virtually, internationally, and things like that on these topics, and emphasizing the importance of understanding, just like your book. We are already leaders within. We are leaders. We're not defined by a job title. By
That's
all
right.
means, I ain't never been big on titles.
That's right.
I'm
That's
very
right.
big on people, right? Sometimes we need the title so that we can give more to the people, because some people respect us giving to the people when we have a title. But
Woo!
nonetheless, the focus is
Don't
never
get
the
me preaching up in here, girl.
all right then. Look, but we can go. We'll talk about that later. You already know. But
I
long
love
short,
you. I love it.
I love you. But long short, so the consultative service over the past few years with COVID, et cetera, learned the importance of filling our cups up first, filling ourselves up. We can show up at our work. We can be in front of this computer at home with our kids. We can show up in a relationship. We show up in all these places wearing all these hats, trying to serve, lead people to God,
Mm,
lead people to leadership, do all these things. But if we are not well, and,
yes.
and physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, we can't give but so much because we don't
That's
have
right.
but so much to give. We giving, how much we gonna give if all this ends up
Half
going
full.
right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And so I recognize, and God has been prompting me to focus on that part of development, them weeds where therapy isn't the enemy,
Mm,
because in the Black communities where having mentors and support system is helpful, and we don't have to be traumatized that we're going to distrust these people because they're going to play us because of things that happened before. Recognizing the importance of those things is kind of where
I'm about to jump out of my seat.
hello. So I have
So, Dr. Kane, so I'm hearing a lot, and I love to listen. I really do. I'm hearing you have a holistic, approach, a strategy where you're dealing from the spiritual, from the physical, from the emotional, from I think I said physical, but even cultural, person, the whole person. I mean, I want to know more about your development plan. Now, tell me, I'm hearing what you're doing, but I know
Mhm.
your strategy is your strategy. But give me some tips that I can give to the next generation and also professionals and elders on how they can start thinking about wanting to go down the path to learn about what they need to develop. And welcome, Selena. Welcome, Paris. Welcome, Naya. These are my babies. These are the summer babies who find time to show up to let people know that they need this, and it's only right that we give this to them. So can you provide a few tips on how they can first settle themselves and identify what they may need as they develop themselves?
Absolutely. One of the first things for me is exactly with Selena Paris. I'm sorry, I missed the other name. What y'all
Naya.
are doing,
Mhm.
Naya, being here, being present, being open to learning, understanding that learning about yourself and what you want to do, it may come from non-traditional methods, may come from people that you least expect, but always being willing to learn and take jewels. That is something like that we should never ever stop doing, that part, right? Even at this day and age, we should never stop. So the sooner we get that understood, the better, right? We have never arrived. We have never heard too much about leadership. We have never heard too many people say you can do it. And one day we're going to believe it if we keep hearing it, right? And so understanding that it's a continual journey.
Yes.
No matter the role you end up in, you never stop. That's one thing. But the other thing I think, and just in my experience, is that sometimes we get overwhelmed by what we ultimately want. And so it's a double-edged sword, because please dream big, but understand the little steps required to get to the big, right? And
Yes.
don't be discouraged if you feel like you taking these little steps and it's taking a while to get there. I think sometimes we get discouraged because we haven't met that self-actualization, our highest self, yet.
Mhm.
And we feel like we done 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. And because we did 10, we shouldn't have to do 11 to make it. We may have to do 111 to make it. And so taking those wins and connecting those wins, those small wins and those small goals to your highest self is important. Incremental steps, like every single thing counts. Now, if you realize these incremental steps are taking you away, reevaluate to see what God is telling you about the path. It may be for a reason. And if it's not, get back on track, but never get discouraged with the small steps. And more importantly, never get discouraged with like having a failure within that.
Right.
I think we need to ensure that we use, and I tell all my people, use that as motivation. What did you learn though? I know how you felt. I know how you might have been embarrassed. You might have lost some money. You might have fell on hard times. But what did you learn that you're going to
Exactly.
use to catapult to the next level? So those are very quick, easy ones that even I am daily adopting. But I tell all those, under my leadership or that I'm consulting the same.
And I want to just also add to that, Dr. Kane, is what I followed and heard about your journey is you still did the basic. You got your education.
Hmm.
You cannot skip through life without getting that academic knowledge.
Yeah.
You need to be educated, and I'm talking about the fundamentals at this point, okay? Be able to graduate from high school, okay? At least get that done. A lot of our children are dropping out of high school, and this COVID-19 didn't make it any better. They are, this virtual world is overbearing to a lot of the next generation, but you got to get that education. Once you get the basic, and then keep on learning from that, it's going to take you to heights because as I shared from day one, and I really appreciate and I got to give credit to the DC Marionberry Summer Youth Employment Program because they're the ones who've been investing in young people for over 30 plus years, probably going on 40 years now. But I'm just so glad that I decided to step up as a leader myself and say, okay, how can I add value at these days and time? Who knew 6 years ago that we would be living under some of the conditions that our children are living under now? A lot of our children are homeless. Okay, a lot of their parents are homeless. A lot of their grandparents are homeless, and that's a whole generation. So my thing is that if we want to, cut that off at the knees, focus on getting your education. And then focus on, like Dr. Kane saying, collaborate with people, but know what you want, where you want to go, and never, ever, 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 ever stop working at it.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes. If I could
All right.
add to
So how many we have only about a few minutes to go, but I definitely want to know what's next for Dr. Kane. What's on the agenda for you?
mm,
Where can people collaborate with you? We want to share your video again for those who missed it in the beginning. So think about that. Think about what's next for you. Think about how we can all just engage and connect with you, even if you can put it in the chat and we can share it on the screen. But we want to play your actual journey again, if you're okay with that, and
mhm.
then we'll come back and ask you our final questions.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So first of all, I want to say I heard you say something earlier. I'm going to pull that back real quick. Talking about you ain't never going to be rich. Oh yes, you are, young lady. Oh yes, you are.
Speak it, Sharon. Speak it.
We are
Speak
claiming that. Oh yes, you are. Okay, that's just number one. All right, number two. What I saw at that presentation was a lot of stuff. I saw an image, a flyer of you where you were in 2015 speaking to few, and Dr. Cheryl Woods was like speaking also on the platform.
it.
And
Mhm.
Dr. Cheryl Woods, I'm telling you, she's international,
Yes.
just like you, and y'all were right there at the same time. So I am speaking it into existence, baby
Mm.
doll. You
Thank
are going to be rich, okay? And you're
thank
going
you.
to be good at it.
I
And
receive it.
it's already in the Dagon elements. That's what it is, okay? And then another thing I noticed about what the presentation showed, it showed that you held the president for a couple of organizations at HUD. Can you tell me
Mhm.
a little bit about that organization, if you know what I'm talking about? Few.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. I served so federally employed women is a national group who entire focus is on the equality and rights of women in in the government, not just the federal sector, actually in the government in general. And it's advocacy for those such as equal pay, and very instrumental in even getting mamas paid while they out having a baby. Okay, more recently. So we have been instrumental in advocating for things on the Hill, simultaneously providing training, governance to individuals, organizations, and entity. It's all about bringing a woman up, right, in the government space. I have served as second vice president, vice president, president. I have served as membership chair. I have served as regional manager assistant for the DMV area. I have had the opportunity to work with the national level on a few projects. And I must say, it was also my involvement with few, as I was able to get involved early on in my federal career within the first year or two. It has been instrumental in networking and professionally developing me. And so when I had the opportunity to give back, I did, thus providing remarks at that luncheon. It was actually the organization which kind of prompted my motivation for my topic for my dissertation as well. So
Awesome.
between that and big, I love big Blacks in government, and have been a member and served in some roles there, and served under Sharon's leadership there. If she ain't tell y'all, yeah. Have been able to speak at their training institutes as well alongside of Sharon, and we'll do so again this year, right, Sharon?
Absolutely, young lady. Absolutely. So that's going to lead us to, guys, for the next generation. I got a question that came in from someone on Facebook. I don't know what is going on with the collaboration with our StreamYard and Facebook, but I don't see the names of those who are watching in Facebook. So if you're out there and you're watching in Facebook, please put your name in the comment. If you have a question, put your question and your name beside of it so that I can actually, call out who's asking the question. But a question did come up. Chris, could you put it back on the screen again for us? There was a question that was asked about, I believe, how did you overcome your barriers? How did you overcome your battle?
Sure. I guess I'll speak more general, because battle should have an S at the end. Okay, battles. And how do we overcome our battles? Because trust and believe they will not stop. So that's the one thing, having victory and knowing that there are going to be some battles, but take heart, right? And I'm glad that question came up, because I will answer. I just wanted to say, based on your point, and in case I don't get a chance to speak to the other generation, the younger generation, is it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yes.
While this sounds great, where, it sounds like there was no trial in that, and I'm glad this person, Paris, asked this question.
Thank you, Paris.
Yes, I'm glad you asked this question, Paris, because there has been many battles. As recent as this year, there's always going to be a battle. When I was younger, it wasn't crystal clear. You heard the crystal clear parts, but the not so crystal clear is had a juvenile record, did some dumb things, got in trouble, hung out with some crazy people. Thanking God I'm still alive today. Not shot, rolled around in cars with people I shouldn't have. Had a brother really into things, and I was always with him. So understand that there are going to be influences around you that can sway you, but also you're going to have a battle just in life, regardless if you did everything right or everything not right. Battles are inevitable. Know your why, though, right? Know your why, and it is important to have a why. If your why is I don't want my past to dictate my future, let that be your why. If your why is I want to raise children who will be better one day, let that be your why. If your why is I don't want to live in poverty when I get older, let that be your why. If your why is you want to take care of your mama, whatever your why is, have a why. If it's just that I want to do it because I don't think I can, let that be your why. And if you keep that why in mind, then every battle is not the end of the world, right? You will
Yeah.
recognize that even in the Bible, we are aware that having a battle is part of the story. Like it
Yeah.
is only through our battles that we appreciate our victories. So it's never giving up. I overcame them. I fell, cried, lost things, got back up, lost money, got broke, got something again. All these things, they are going to happen. It is your attitude. It is my attitude. It is your attitude that will dictate
Mm.
you being successful after that fall.
Absolutely. Thank you. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. And as Dr. Kane had mentioned, we are definitely going to be on the road again. We're going to be in Cleveland, Ohio at the Blacks in Government National NTI, a National
Mhm.
Institute training. And we're going to be, doing what we do best, putting on workshops and teaching people what we do behind the scenes. So look forward to seeing you there. But I have another question. But before we get to that question, keep that up for me, Chris. Dr. Kane, how can individuals contact you and reach you and connect with you?
Oh yes, please, please reach out to me. My website, drkane.com. It's not too intuitive, so find me on Instagram at will_of wellness. I'm not too savvy with that either, but I will definitely respond. My email address is Kenae, Kenae, Boyer, Boyer, at gmail.com. Contact me any of these ways, and I'd be happy to give whatever I got that you need.
And she can give it, guys. I'm telling you, this, we're talking about an expert. We're talking about, when I say expert, an expert. Every workshop that I've attended of yours or presentation you have done, you put a lot of energy in your presentation, and I learned so much. So, guys, definitely one to go and to see. So, Dr. Kane, let me just share with you that I just want to thank you for giving your valuable time to come out to be on the podcast show for us here at the Sharon Lee briefing. And then you are the power of five. Okay. The fifth guest on our show. So you get extra kudos. I want
Mm.
to thank our team. Again, I want to thank Chris for doing a phenomenal job with, behind the scenes with the Only Media production. I want to thank Sean Parker. I want to thank Dana. I want to thank all of our guests. For those who are in Facebook that I was not able to call your name, just know that I thank you for being here. Please share this out. Selena asked a very good question. Do you think you got this far due to your determination?
Absolutely, Selena. And your determination is not independent of, but tied to your why. I am determined to answer my why, and absolutely be determined, be resilient, fall down and get all the way back up and get up stronger and take those lessons from that fall with you onto your next part of your journey. But never, ever, ever, ever give up.
I love it. Dr. Kane, I want you to stay behind in the green room for a little bit. We got to do a little photo op. But again, I want to thank the audience. Guys, share this actual podcast out. Do not stop commenting. Do not stop sharing, because there's not one adult, elder, a youth, whatever, that should not hear this particular inspirational story from Dr. Kane. Also, guys, follow us on, I can be found on Sharon Leading with Sharon underscore leading underscore within. That's on Instagram. I finally got a TikTok, little account. So my TikTok is LOVEROASA, which is Love Rosa. That's my
Yeah.
TikTok. And I'm on Facebook, Sharon Parker. You can find me. I'm pretty out there now. I think I'm the second ones that comes up. So, you can follow me on Facebook, but you also can send a request to our Facebook group. And that group is where the podcast is going to be showed. So the group is called the Sharon Lee Briefing Podcast Show. Share it, share it, share it. Kane, you are completely loved.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of your hard work. Thank you for overcoming those challenges. Thank you for sharing what your challenges and your journey was. But most importantly, thank you for staying in the game of service. I'm
Mhm.
staying here in the leadership game and helping us continue to grow and never ever stop growing. So thank you, guys. You all have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy you all being here. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
On the right. living legends are reaching me, sharing knowledge with you and me, teaching us how to lead with Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee, on the run. Sharon Lee, on the run. Yeah. Keep on building that synergy. 1 month at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. 1 month at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. 1 month at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. 1 month at a time, you and me. Sharon